Joining me now is a key player in all of this, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Thank you so much for coming in. It's nice to see you in person. You have said, quote, there is literally nothing to negotiate. There's nothing I can do. You are the Speaker of the House. There is, in fact, a lot you can do.
Well, there's not, actually. Let me explain that. As you noted, they're voting right now on the Senate floor. We'll see how that turns out. Last night, two Democrats and an independent flipped and came along with the Republicans. But it looks like, and what we expect, is that most of the Democrats in the Senate, again, will reject the clean CR that we sent over. It's clean. What that means is it's nonpartisan. We didn't add any Republican priorities or poison pills or gimmicks or tricks into that at all. It's 24 pages. I mean, everybody can read it for themselves. It simply continues the Biden-era spending levels that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have already supported in the past. They just did it most recently in March. And he gave long speeches about how it was so critically important that we not shut the government down. There's nothing for me to give. There's nothing to negotiate. I don't have any Republican priorities to put on the table because we sent over a clean CR. And that's why none of this makes sense.
Okay, so the Democrats argue that it's priorities, yes, that are maybe their policy priorities, but they also should be the priorities for people in your district and in Republican districts across the country, the biggest of which they argue is extending the subsidies for people who can't afford Obamacare to be able to afford Obamacare. I understand that they don't expire until the end of the calendar year.
Right.
The argument that they make is that insurance companies start to make a plan like soon. And so by the time they make that plan, the subsidies will expire. Isn't there something to that?
No, that's a December policy issue. It's going to take
But
many,
insurance
many
companies have to make their decisions well before December.
The benefits do not expire until December 31, and insurance companies can make different decisions. Okay, there's plenty of time on the clock. That's an eternity, as you know, in legislative terms, to have 3 months ahead of us to do that. The reason we put a simple 7-week extension of government funding is to allow for all that debate. The month of October is going to be very important for us to determine all these things and to have a bipartisan discussion and deliberation over that. But we have to have the lights on in the building to do it. The first and most important function of Congress is to keep the government in operation. Every Democrat who's voting no today has said that many times. We're playing the highlight reel. Just listen to what Chuck Schumer himself has said until today.
I just want to be clear. You are saying, hard line, red line, you will not negotiate on anything until the government is reopened.
Chuck Schumer was in the Oval Office with me, 48 hours ago. We were there. The president, as a strong leader, he brought all of us in, all 4 leaders, Thune and Schumer and myself and Hakeem Jeffries. And the president said, make your case. What is it you want? And Chuck Schumer repeated in that meeting what he put on paper. The counter proposal that he filed, everyone can go read it for themselves, would add $1.5 trillion in new spending on a 7-week stopgap measure. We're not doing that. He wants to give health care to illegal aliens again. We're not doing that. He wanted to claw back $50 billion that our Republican Big Beautiful Bill put in to prop up rural hospitals. Now, people say, why would he do that? I thought he was for health care. Well, a lot of those rural hospitals, most of them are in red states. So I don't know. I don't know what his motivation is, but we can't do it.
You had a very spirited discussion with my friend and colleague Caitlin Collins about illegal immigrants getting health care. I don't want to repeat that. If you want to see it, you can look on YouTube. I just want to say, for the record, that right now the law of the land is explicitly that illegal immigrants do not get health care.
That's correct, because we added that in the law. It got signed into law July 4th. That was the Republicans' Big Beautiful Bill. Chuck Schumer's proposal is to repeal that.
Okay,
Go look at page 57 of the bill that he filed.
No, I mean, I have your people printed something out for me. So let's just kind of finish this, and then I want to ask you about other things.
Sure.
If Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries came to you and said, what you interpret as giving illegal immigrants health care is off the table, would you reopen the government?
Well, no, because he's put all sorts of other things.
So let's talk about the other things. Let's talk about the other things. So you mentioned $1.5 trillion. $1 trillion of that is to reverse Medicaid cuts that you put in the Big Beautiful Bill.
Medicaid reforms, not cuts. Well, now don't take my word for it.
It's less spending.
Don't take my word for it.
You want.
The CBO, Congressional Budget Office, which everybody cites and CNN does all the time as the neutral arbiter of all these things, they came out with a report on August 25th, just several weeks back, and they said, you know what happened in that Big Beautiful Bill, this is what we project. It's going to save Medicaid. It's going to strengthen Medicaid. Why? Because they CBO, not Republicans, CBO said 2.3 million improper enrollments are involved in Medicaid right now. What is that? Illegal aliens, young able-bodied men without dependents who are riding the wagon and should be working instead. Our legislation strengthens Medicaid because we kick those people off. They were not entitled. Medicaid is intended for U.S. citizens who are young, pregnant women, disabled, or elderly, not these other categories.
But once this goes into effect, which is after the midterms, people will feel cuts who are not necessarily...
Yeah, those young able-bodied men who are sitting at home playing video games? That's a big portion of it.
Not just them.
Look at the studies. Look at the studies.
But when you see the $1 trillion that they do want to put back into this, you don't think that what they are doing is politically palpable for even a lot of people in your district?
There's one reason and one reason alone that they're making this argument.
They will see cuts to Medicaid.
Here's the motivation. Let's just cut to the chase. Chuck Schumer is doing this. The reason he switched his position that he's had for 30 years right now and doing the exact opposite that he said in March of this year, as recently as March, is because he is in political jeopardy. He's afraid he's going to get a challenge from his left flank, and AOC or someone else will run against him for his Senate seat. So Chuck Schumer has to put up a fight and pretend that he's fighting the president, fighting Republicans.
I've been in this town maybe even longer than you, and so I've seen politics played on all kinds of things.
That's fair, but I'm telling you what's happening right now.
I want to talk about something you said this morning about Chuck Schumer. You said Schumer has now handed the keys to the kingdom to the executive branch, and that a shutdown can provide an opportunity to, quote, downsize the government. I just want to be clear. Do you think that the OMB, the executive branch, should use this shutdown as an excuse to permanently fire federal workers?
Well, I can tell you right now, the president has been a benevolent president. He is mitigating the harm right now. OMB has not come out of the blocks and fired a bunch of people. That's not what's happening.
But do you think they should?
Well, it provides an opportunity. Chuck Schumer has provided the Trump White House with an opportunity to downsize the government on priorities and policies and personnel that they deem to be non-essential. Now, Chuck Schumer has very different priorities about federal government than Republicans.
What's your priority? You're the Speaker of the House. You can
I certainly want to downsize the size and scope of the federal government.
So you think that the people who are maybe furloughed right now, or even working without pay, should be on the chopping block for permanent dismissal?
I wouldn't say that, because the people that are furloughed right now are hardworking American federal workers.
Who should be fired during the shutdown?
I don't know. You'd have to show me a proposal of what is being presented.
I don't have a proposal.
I don't have it either, but I have a conference call with Russ Vought at OMB in about 2 hours, and we're going to ask him about the details of that. But I'll tell you right now.
So this is happening.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to find out what his plans are. But I will tell you this. Right now, who's being harmed are women, infants, and children. Their nutrition program is stalled. Veterans who are not getting their services right now. Suicide prevention, that's a day-to-day thing.
No question.
They're unfunded.
I mean, it's horrible.
FEMA's not funded right now for insurance
That
policies.
is temporary. So you're going to talk to Russ Vought, and obviously we're going to ask what happens after that. But last week, he sent a memo directing agencies to start drafting plans
to
do just this.
So when you're the director...
But you have a point of view. Can you, on that phone call, say with him, please don't do this? This is not appropriate?
No, because, look, if Russ Vought has to make tough decisions. Whoever is the director of the Office of Management and Budget in a scenario like this has to make tough choices. They have to decide. They're tasked under law. They must decide what are essential services and what are not. What are policies and proposals that are priorities.
It's usually temporary under a shutdown. We're talking about permanently firing people.
Well, I'm not sure that hasn't happened before, but if the authority is there and he sees a program that is wasting taxpayer dollars, you and I could both agree the government doesn't do everything in the most efficient manner.
Isn't that constitutionally, that's your job. Article 1, that is your job. It is
until Chuck Schumer decides to hand the keys to the president, which is literally what he's doing. If he makes the decision to shut the federal government down, he's shutting down the legislative branch, and he is giving the authority to the executive. That's how the system works, and he's made that decision. So is it foolhardy for him to do so? Of course it is. Could it backfire fantastically? Yes.
I'm a little surprised that you are okay with that.
No, it's part of our system, Dan. It's part of our constitutional system. The president and his team are tasked with
There's nothing in the Constitution that says if there's a shutdown.
No, it's not. No, because the founders couldn't have foreseen such a foolish thing that's happening right now. They would understand, and they implied what Congress's first role is to make sure the government operates, right? But in a scenario like this, if the Congress's hands are tied by the minority party who will not do the right thing, then the power shifts to the executive. That's not Mike Johnson doing that. That's Chuck Schumer doing that.
I want to shift gears just a little bit and ask you about something that the president said when he delivered a very